That was an epic bio. And thank you so much, Femi, for being here and gracing us with your presence.
Thank you so much for the invite. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. I feel like this is going to be a really dope conversation. You guys, I want you to get pens out, get ready to take notes, because this is a woman who doesn't just like talk the talk. I know from knowing her for several years that she is also walking the walk, and you're going to want to learn from her. All right. So the first question that I ask everyone here is, what does manifesting mean to you?
Manifesting means to me using your own personal energy, your thoughts, your actions to create the life that you desire, the life that you want to live on your own terms.
Yes, on your own terms. I love that you say that, because I feel like so many people think that it's like one formula is the way, but on your own terms, it means that it's individual, no?
Exactly. There's more than one way to the finish line. People get all caught up in, I'm supposed to do things the right way. Like many of us, we were taught, as children, okay, well, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to do great in school and I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get a great job. And how many of us now feel like we've been lied to?
I'm raising my hand.
You have these degrees, you have all these student loans, and you're like, what the heck am I doing? I'm not even using any of this stuff. Where's the job? Where's the this? But I think it's important, especially for those of us that are millennials who have really been in a situation where we've had to really forge our own way, because a lot of the things that we thought were going to be available to us just haven't been, because of economies crashing and, things not just not being able to be accommodated. We had to find our own lane in a lot of ways and create businesses and create jobs and create roles so that we could just survive in a lot of situations. So I think that there's definitely more than one way to the finish line. And your way, you may find out later in life, is not the way that you thought it was going to be, but you still get from point A to point B.
Is your way the way you thought it was going to be?
Heck no. Not at all. The interesting thing is I actually do work in the field that I went to school for, but it took, I think I've been out of college for 15 years. And I mean, I worked in and out of that field, but I finally landed in a position I've been in for a few years now, but it definitely was not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is I manifested this job at a time where I really needed it.
Tell me about that.
So this particular position, I work for the state here in Maryland. I work in the criminal justice system. And, logically, okay, you go to school for this, you think you're going to get a job in that, that's usually how it works. And it was one of those jobs where, you have to take the test and you have to make the list and then they pick your name and you get a start date. And I went through the process for this job probably 2 or 3 times in my younger life, and it just never worked out for me to take it. So I think the one time they were only hiring for counties like an hour away from where I lived. And I was in grad school and I couldn't commute that far. Another time I went all the way through the process and there wasn't a slot for me. They didn't pick me. Another time I think I got invited to the interview and I turned it down because something else came through. So this time I go all the way through the process, I get to the end, they start pulling names. Oh, they're filling slots and they don't pull me for a slot. And it was a long hiring process. 2.5 years later, I had changed jobs. I had changed careers. I was working in a different field. And I ended up leaving my job because I was ill and I was home, like job searching. And I got a random email and it was like, it was a mistake. It was like, how you get a mass email as a mail merge?
Yes.
And they didn't, like they sent it, but somebody must have made an error because the field literally said first name, last name. Like it did not have my name. And what happened was it was April and it had snowed and they canceled interviews because it had snowed. And the email said, if you're interested in rescheduling your interview, reply to this email. I was like, I don't have no interview scheduled, but I'm going to respond to this email. Mind you, I had just went through the hiring process for the same position 2.5 years ago. I didn't even know I saw the application open 2.5 years later. So I responded to the email and they scheduled the interview and I got back into the loop. And I went through, all of the stuff that I had to do. And before I knew it, I'll never forget this. I was on vacation. I wasn't working. I was job searching. I was on vacation. I was in Belize on the beach. And I checked my email and there was an offer letter. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my goodness. And I remember my husband was in the room. He wasn't at the beach. And I sent a picture to him. I sent a picture to my mom. I sent a picture to one of my girlfriends. And it was like, oh my gosh. And all of their responses were different. But it was interesting because the job didn't start for 60 days. This was June. So I ended up getting my whole summer off. I had to get back to them by like July the 6th. I ended up getting my whole summer off. They assigned me to an office close to my house, which I completely overlooked in the letter because normally you don't find out where you're going to go until you get to the academy and you've already started. They ended up assigning me to an office close to my house, which for most people is like in West Bumfuck, and they don't pick that office. And it was everything that I asked for because the job that I had before, I had a lot of difficulties because I was ill, I was out sick. And I remember when I was trying to manifest the job and I wrote my list of things that I wanted, one of the things was I want a short commute. I don't want to have to pay to park my car. I want to be on the first floor. So if we have a fire drill, I don't have to go down all these steps because all of those things were issues for me with my illness that I was experiencing at the time. I want to have a flexible schedule. I want to be able to take off days when I want to take off. I don't want to be on conference calls all day. Like these were all things that I hated about the position that I was in and I left. And when I sought to apply for jobs, those were things that I specifically looked for. And I remember making a list of all of the things. And I remember writing, like, I just want to pull up to the building and park my car for free. Like, I remember writing that. And when this job fell out of the sky and landed in my email in Belize on the beach, all of those things were in that letter. And it was funny because I got everything I wanted except for the salary. Except for the salary.
Hey.
But it worked out. And the job just kind of fell out of the sky. And I think that was when I realized the power of being specific.
Yes.
And asking, and people are probably listening to this thinking it's crazy that you really wrote that you wanted to park your car and walk in the building.
Every little thing.
But looking back at it, I realized all of those things that I wrote down, except for the salary was, less than I wanted because it was a starter position, but I did gain some of that money back later on. Everything except for the salary came true. Everything. And a lot of those things for me were more important because, again, being able to have a flexible schedule when you have doctor's appointments and you have to go to therapy and you have other things that you need to go to, flexibility can mean the world, and that's not as important. And that's not as important as money.
Yeah.
So I ended up, and the interesting thing was it ended up being back in my field.
I love it.
So that's where I've been for the past little over 3 years. Definitely not what I thought I would be doing. I thought I was going to be a lawyer. But definitely not what I thought I would be doing, but finding out that it was the perfect fit. It was definitely the perfect fit. And I didn't know I had an application open. It was 2.5 years later. You
explained it so linearly, but we know that that's not how the universe operates, right? Like you explained it like first this, then that, boom. But underneath it, what I can hear, and hopefully all the listening can hear, is like, I petitioned the universe and I was specific with my ask. I said, I am driving up to this door and I am not paying no damn fees. And then you got it. But when you were in the space between you writing that desire down, that petition, that list of what you require for your next position, in between the space of you writing that and you laying on the beach, receiving the manifestation, were you in a place of, oh, I can't wait till it comes? Or were you just chilling?
I was just chilling because I remember going back and forth and thinking, maybe I'll just do my business. I don't know if I want to go back to work full time. And it was funny because the job didn't start for 60 days. So I got the letter. It was like the last week of June. I had to let them know around 4th of July. And I started around Labor Day. So it kind of gave me some time to ease into it because I really went back and forth about, I don't know that I want to go back to work full time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up with all of the things that I need to keep up with and work full time. So there was a lot of thought around, okay, this is what I need. And then once I figured that out, I just release it and let it go.
Yes, that releasing is important. And there's a nugget in there for everyone listening. Like, she received the manifestation that she asked for. And then she wasn't afraid to still think it through on, do I really want this? You know, sometimes the universe will put something in your way that forces you to ask, do I really want this? But she on her own is like, yo, I'm not sure. Is this what I want? Because like I could shake this up and shift it if I want to. But she gave it that thought. So if you do receive something and it's almost what you want, don't feel the need to like just take it just in case. Remember that you can always shift and tweak your desire and know that if you allow, it'll come to you as well. So just throwing that out there for anyone listening. So I hear that you wrote this out very specifically. Is that a ritual that you do when you are manifesting anything, or was it just something you happened to do for the job?
At that point in time, it was something I happened to do. But in learning through that experience, now I write everything down.
Okay, so you're always
As you
writing
can
a
see, I'm
list.
sitting here. I got a whole notebook here with notes.
Yes.
I write everything down. I'm very particular in the way that I write and I word my petitions.
Same.
And I think at that point in time, I was really just writing down, these are my criteria for the job. Now, when I write a petition, I write it as if it has already happened.
Yes.
I come from a space of gratitude. So, it's something like, I am so happy and grateful for my new job.
I love
Every
it.
day when I arrive in the morning, I go in my office, I turn on the light, I put my bag down, I sit in the chair, and I'm just so happy to be here.
I love that.
As opposed to, writing it as I'm going to get, I will, when, if. I always write things in the affirmative as if they've already happened.
That is so powerful. And if you guys are looking at your journals and seeing oh, I can't wait till this happens, cross that out, girl, cross it out and put it as if it has already happened. It seems like a small shift, but energetically it's major. You're expecting it.
Because it's really a matter of when. It's not about the if or the maybe or I hope or if. It's really about the when. So
Yes.
when am I starting my new job? Not, oh, I hope I get the job. When I start my new job. I feel like if you write it that way and you really think about it and you visualize it, you get into you're thinking about what emotion is being evoked.
There it is.
When you get your new job, I'm so happy and grateful to be here. You're letting the universe know that you're grateful that they're granting your request, and you're happy and excited and you're elated to be there. I mean, nobody wants to go with the request something. Well, I don't know, maybe I'll like this when it happens. We're not doing that. If it's something that you truly want, you should have put the thought into it before you made the request. You should have been specific. You should have done the research. You should have looked into it and determined, is this what I really want? And then you craft your request.
Yes. So what else do you do? What are your other practices besides petitioning for the universe to allow your desires in? What else do you do? Do you have other specific rituals that you do?
If I'm trying to manifest something in particular, I always write a petition. It doesn't matter what it is that I'm doing. If I am burning candles, if I am sitting and meditating on something, I personally like to burn candles. I feel like that's the fastest way to evoke something. If I am
Tell us about that.
About candle magic. So basically the way that it works is, and the way that I was taught is, burning a candle, setting an intention and burning a candle, the flame sends the request up into the ethers or up into the universe. It's my understanding that if you're talking about elements, fire is the fastest working element. You could also work with other elements or stack them on top of each other, but fire sends the message the fastest. So typically I would find a particular candle that I'm choosing to work with. If you're into correspondences and you're into working with herbs and crystals and those kinds of things, scents work as well, essential oils, you can line all of those things up with your request. So for instance, if I'm trying to manifest money, I may buy a green candle because money is green. I may dress my candle with let's think about some herbs that we correspond with money. Cinnamon,
Oregano, cinnamon,
oregano,
nutmeg, cayenne.
nutmeg, peppermint, ginger. We could go down a whole list of things that most of us have in our cabinet at home. But if we know that those things correspond with money, well, I'm going to dress my candle with that. If I know pyrite attracts money.
So I just want to stop right there really quick. In case Femi is using some languaging that you don't know, I want y'all to know that a little vocab will be in the show notes for you. Correspondences, petitions. Did we say anything else that they might not have heard before? I don't think so. So just so you know, if you need a little vocab, it's in the show notes. And I want you taking notes on this because she's already giving you so much game on how to up level how you're requesting from the universe. Okay. So you can bundle what you're doing and layer it in a way that works for you. So she said that she's big on fire. I'm a water girl. Water is my element. And that just like, it flows fast and it brings me what I need quickly. You're going to learn what element works best for you. However, until you get into a space where you know your shit, try fire because it's universally the fast way to get your desire outwards going. And we're getting witchy on this episode. In case y'all haven't noticed, this is gonna be one of the more witchy episodes for y'all because Femi deals with ATR. You know what? I'm gonna let you explain it because I'm sure we said a little bit of that in your bio. So yeah. I want you to explain, since we jumped in, where your beliefs are, where your practices stem from, and then we'll get back into this.
Okay, so you mentioned ATR. So ATR refers to African, or sometimes you'll see diasporic traditional religion. So those are practices that were practiced back at home in Africa and also by African people who were brought to the Caribbean or brought to the United States. Here in the States, we have a practice called hoodoo, or sometimes you'll hear it referred to as root work, conjure. Hoodoo is kind of like the universal, I guess, the umbrella term. And then you have people who are root workers, who may be conjurers, who, I'm trying to think if there's any other words. Usually those are the ones that you hear. You hear you're a hoodoo practitioner, you're a root worker, you're a conjurer, you work roots. I know my granny referred to it as root people. They were root people. But hoodoo is the collective practices of Africans who were enslaved. So basically, when we came here, a lot of the things that they practiced as far as religion and lifestyle went, when they came here, they had to adapt to what was available here. So the roots and herbs that were available here that they had access to, because this was a whole different climate. And just basically, collectively, all of those particular practices that were used in a lot of situations to save their lives, to keep them safe, to keep their families safe, to manifest things that they needed to manifest. But it's a collection of religious practices that were practiced by folks who were enslaved in this particular land. A lot of it is orally based and it was passed down traditionally through families. So a lot of folks, maybe their granny or their auntie or even an uncle or someone, they pass those things down. And I think as Black people, there are a lot of things that we collectively do that we don't realize fall into those practices. Absolutely. So things like, don't put your purse on the floor.
Yeah, I had no idea that stemmed from anything ancient. I was just like, well, it makes sense. I don't want it dirty.
Or, you know how people get upset, don't sweep your feet with the broom.
Sweeping feet, yep.
All of these things are things that we know. You ever go to a party and everybody's in a circle and then people are dancing in the middle?
Yes.
That in hoodoo is referred to as a ring shout, but that's something that stems from back home. Pouring libation. You've heard people, we're going to pour out a little liquor for our homies. That is a cultural practice. We pour libation. Every morning I go before my altar and I pour libation and I call my ancestors' names. That's part of one of the rituals and prayers that I do every day. But a lot of people don't understand that that's a holdover from our traditional practices from Africa, from the Caribbean before we came here. All of that is historical. And collectively as Black folks, we don't know why we do some of those things, but we all do them. You know, we all.
Big Mama said to, so we just do it. Right. Because we got yelled at for putting our purse on the floor, so we just don't.
Right. And a lot of people think of them as like old wives' tales or stuff like that, like don't split the pole. Everybody makes collard greens and black-eyed peas on New Year's Eve, you know, for wealth and prosperity. So all of those types of collective practices that pretty much Black people from anywhere, you can be anywhere from all over the United States, and we're all doing the same thing. a lot of those practices stem from those collective religious practices of folks that, you know, were enslaved and came here from Africa, came here from the Caribbean. All of that falls under the umbrella of hoodoo. I'm also an Abarisha or an Orisha devote, and that's a separate set of practices. And
Tell us about that.
That is more of, it's more organized. So like, just like when you go to church, you have, there's a pastor, and you know, you may have different layers of different things that happen in church. It's very similar, where we have different rules and regulations and things that we can do. There's certain ceremonial rites, there's certain things that have to be done in certain orders, there's certain levels of initiation, that type of thing. A lot of it is a closed practice, so we can't really talk about it much openly, but there was a particular, let me say this. So I was introduced to that particular practice. I had a friend who worked with this particular priest in the religion. He was a Babalawo, and she convinced me to have a reading. And I had a reading with this gentleman. I sat on the floor, on the mat with him, and he conducted the reading for me. He basically read my entire life in the first reading. And there were a lot of things that were revealed to me, that answers that I had been looking for forever, came out in this reading with this gentleman. The reading was about an hour, and there were things that he knew about me that I knew, but he didn't know me from a can of paint. I didn't tell him anything, you know, and these things started to fall out in this reading, and it became evident to me that that was my particular path. And I remember in the conversation toward the end of it, he talked about the fact that I needed to set up an ancestor altar. And he walked me through how to do it. And I went home that day and I set up the altar, and off I went. At the time, I did not know that I would end up joining that particular religion. Years later, that's where I am. But it ended up being a situation where you meet the right person at the right time, and you get the piece of information that you need to get at the right time, so that you can carry that piece of information on to the next step. And it's like you take the first step and the staircase appears. Yes. That kind of thing. So there are a lot of, pretty much, it's my understanding that all African-based traditions are rooted in ancestral veneration. They all have that kind of component. So whether it's hoodoo, whether it's voodoo, whether it's Ifa, whether it's Lukumi, Candomblé, all of those, they have that, they are rooted in ancestral veneration.
And then also things in Latin America and Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean and Afro-Latina as well, like Santeria, Obia, everything. Yeah. Like that's a major part. How could we not?
Exactly. So getting in touch, you can't know where you're going unless you know where you've come from. And I think that's the point of a lot of it, because we talked about, you know, these kind of traditions being orally based and passed down orally through families. Part of that was because it had to be done covertly, because once you came here on this soil, you could be killed for practicing things that you've been practicing your whole life. And understanding that from the African perspective, spirituality is not just as simple as, okay, we go to church every Sunday. It is legitimately a lifestyle. It is in everything.
Talk about that. Tell us more about that.
It is in everything that we do. So just something as simple as how you clean your house is ritual.
I want everybody to really pay attention to this, because I have very strong feelings on it, and I know Femi does as well. Before we started recording, she was about to begin about how people think you watch The Secret and you think you know what manifesting is as a 1-2 skidoo, here it is kind of practice, but it really requires embodiment. So I really want you to pay attention to what she's about to say. Okay, keep going.
Okay, yes. So like you said, they've read The Secret, and you know, they've written their little checks to the universe, and they've made their vision board, and all of these things that I feel like are microwave magic. So we think that, okay, I really, 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 I want this house. So I'm gonna make my vision board, I'm gonna put my little picture on there, and I'm gonna, you know, write 55 times for 5 days in a row. Wow. That I'm gonna manifest this house, not understanding that it's really not that simple. Like, it's not a magic wand. This is not a Disney movie. We're not waving our magic wand and going bippity boppity boo, there goes my house. It doesn't work like that. And theoretically, there is a slight chance that it could.
When you're embodying, you make those miracles.
but until you're embodied, you can't. So
you could hit
out of nowhere
tomorrow. You could hit the lottery tomorrow and go buy $1 million.
Speak it over me, ma'am. Speak it over me, because
I'll
buy a ticket if that's the case.
But if I know that I have the power to manifest whatever it is that I want in this lifetime, why would I not take it seriously?
There it is.
And not throw everything and all of the energy and all of the tools and all of the resources and all of the time that I have at it? Why not hit it hard? Why not hit it out the park? And I think that's where people get caught up, because this is a lifestyle. Spirituality is a lifestyle.
A conscious choice.
Exactly. You have to consciously choose that this is what it is that I want to do. You can't dip your toe in and then pull it back out when you don't get what you want.
That's how you get nothing ever.
Right. Because one, you have to have faith in the fact that whatever it is that you're doing is going to manifest. Don't ask for the car and you're sitting there and you're burning you're dressing your candle and you're going, oh, I hope this gonna work. I hope I'm gonna get this car. You done already, you don't even waste your supplies. You done already shot the wish dead in the water. Don't even waste your supplies. Don't even sit there and dress your candle and waste them oils and waste your crystals, because you just ruined it. You just ruined it by not being sure.
And belief.
By not being sure. Because if you were sure, you wouldn't be sitting here with a bunch of shoulda, coulda, woulda, maybe, hope, I might. You would not be using that type of language. The other thing is this: you have to be consistent. You can't just put a request out into the universe with whatever method you're using, whether it's you're using water, you're using air, you're using fire, you're using earth. You can use all 4 of those elements in your magic and trying to manifest something. But why would I only use 1 if I have 4 available to me? 5 if you count spirit. Why would I only use 1 if I have access to all of those? Why would I light the candle and walk away and then be surprised when nothing happened? It's just, you just lit a candle. Did you think that that was enough energy to manifest a whole house? Probably not.
Certainly not at the beginning. Certainly not in the beginning. When you are in a place of your energy being, you recognize your power, you start taking a little liberties if you choose. But in the beginning, and for all of you who are listening to this, writing notes copiously because this is new to you, child, throw everything at it with faith and belief.
Throw all the bells and whistles at it. Stack your rituals, build up the energy, hit it with everything that you've got so that the universe knows. Like stacking rituals?
Yes.
So you mentioned water, which is interesting because I am water through and through. I am a Pisces. I was born on 3/3. The Orisha that holds my head is a water Orisha. Pisces is water through and through. Double fish. My name in Yoruba, Femi, short for Odo Femi, means water loves me. That was the name that was given to me when my head was marked. My whole life is water, but I work with fire the most. And the interesting thing was when I pulled my natal chart, I have 5 fire, 4 water. I think I have 1 earth. I don't have any air, which was interesting. But like you said, once you learn your power, you learn what works the fastest for you. So just because fire is the fastest element, you might be a badass with water. So a water ritual could be something as simple as we see all of these ritual baths online, and you see the baths with the crystals and the essential oils and the herbs, and I've seen fruit and flowers and all this kind of stuff. A lot of times people post those and they look very pretty. And people look at the pictures and they're like, oh, I'm going to duplicate that. Well, do you know why they're using what they're using?
That part, speak on it.
Have you done your research? So we talked about how we know that cinnamon is for money, or this is for love, or this is for that. Be careful. One thing about this path that people fail to realize, and again, this is a lifestyle, anything that you are truly interested in, anything that is your craft, you need to study.
Say it again.
You need to study. So
if this is your path, this is your lifestyle, we do a lot of reading. I've listened to a lot of your episodes and people are always throwing books out there. We do a lot of reading. Listening to podcasts is a form of education. You know, you may be reading online. Be very careful about the things that you are consuming.
Amen.
Because if you don't know why they're using this particular herb, this particular crystal, this particular flower, how will you ever learn to add those things to your arsenal if you don't know what they're for? Are you cross-referencing?
That's what I was gonna say. You have to do your due diligence.
Right. Somebody posted, okay, there was something floating around, and I'm not gonna say who it was, but there was one of those images on IG, and it was a money candle. And they were basically telling you to roll this candle in butter.
I'm sorry.
And then put herbs on it that correspond
with butter?
Butter.
Oh.
If you search for it, you'll find it. Okay, but that's supposed to be hoodoo, right? So if we really think about this, one, you might have to call Fire Marshal Bill because you might burn your house down trying to roll a candle in butter, first of all. So let's talk about fire safety. Secondly, if we're talking about collective practices.
She said, let's talk about fire safety.
Secondly, if we're talking about the collective practices of folks who came here from Africa, from the Caribbean, and they were enslaved at that point in time, do you really think they had butter available to them to waste on a candle?
I don't think they were using dairy on their candles.
They probably weren't even using candles because the oil lamp is traditional, but that's a whole nother conversation. But okay, so you see this post on
what's
IG.
that oil thing with the wick? What's that thing? It's like a bowl and it has like the wick that sticks out and it has like that metal.
The part you turn with.
Yeah, that's that's a lantern?
It's an oil lamp. Yep.
An oil lamp. Okay.
So think about this. So now I've seen this cute little image on IG and I'm going to go burn me this candle and I'm going to manifest me some money. Just looking at that, I know that I might not want to do that. Do I know why they're using this or why they're using that? No, but I can know how to go look it up. And I may look at this site, or I may look at, I prefer books, but I may look at this book and this book says, okay, you can use this, this, and this. Well, then I might go look at this book over here and see if this book also says the same thing. Because keep in mind, even with the internet, you have to be careful. A lot of these Facebook groups, Instagram, all this kind of stuff, anybody can post anything. Please and I can't blindly follow something just because I saw it on a meme or one of those cute little images. So just understand that this is a lifestyle. And if this is something that you genuinely want to do and you're going to put time and effort into it, make sure that you are studying. If books are not available, if we're talking about practices that are orally based, find a respected elder in your community. Elder doesn't necessarily have to mean old, but somebody that is a respected practitioner in what it is that you're looking to do.
With a certain amount of wisdom. I put elder and wisdom on the same path because it could be, they could be just a few years older than you.
Exactly. But that person may have been doing this type of work their whole life, and their mom taught them, their granny taught them. And they may have 30 years of experience doing this, as opposed to someone who just set up an Instagram page and self-proclaimed themselves as the authority on something. So being able to use your discernment to figure out what you feel in your spirit is correct as well.
I love that. And guys, check out the episode of the podcast from last year where I shared how to find a practitioner or a coach, because there's some really good practical tips in there. A lot of it comes down to your gut and your discernment and also your common sense. I just wanted to throw that in there. Because there's a lot of people who are trying to lead and it's blind leading the blind. And it can be dangerous. People are messing around with energies and spirits that they don't know what the fuck they are doing. They're calling, like, I don't care what you choose. I don't care if you want to go the okay, I'm gonna try that again. Diasporic traditional religion way. I don't care if you want to go the science-y way. I don't care if you want to go Christian way, whatever. It doesn't matter. But what is crucial is that you are bringing common sense and discernment to the mix, because ultimately whichever path you choose doesn't matter. Your intention that you're putting towards whichever direction you go is what matters, and you need to take an educated an educated effort towards it. Don't just go throwing yourself wildly, following any old body because you can get hurt or dead.
That's very true. It legit can come down to you being harmed, and people lose their lives, like you said, messing with energies that they don't know, that they don't understand. But again, we have to be careful about following things on social media, because anybody can get on the soapbox and make a post. And now you over here petitioning an entity that you know nothing about and causing yourself some serious damage because you've offended them, because you haven't gone the right way. And also remember that even when it comes down to working with, the whole point of the ancestor altar is you're building a relationship with them. You're coming and you're sitting and you're spending time, you're talking to them, you're making offerings. You wouldn't just walk up to somebody you know and ask them for $500. So why would this be any different? You have to put the time and the effort in and build a relationship. So if you're choosing to work with different energies or spirits or ancestors or deities or whatever pantheon you choose to go with, or you feel invited toward, because for a lot of people, and I think you would agree with this is not a situation where, for me, it's definitely, I didn't choose this life chose me.
She didn't
And
choose
that's really what
the streets
that's really
her.
what it boils down to. So a lot of times you have folks picking and choosing different things, and it's like, well, how do you even know that's your path? How do you even know that that's compatible with what it is that you're doing?
So what do you suggest to a person who, because I always tell them, you need to shut up, sit down, get quiet, and listen. And you're going to feel the nudge, the little whisper that tells you which way you should go. And before you jump in, just do a little research. What do you suggest to people?
If people are not sure what it is that they want to do, I'm a firm believer in getting a divination. Get a divination.
Tell us about that.
Get a divination. A divination is another word that you may hear for reading. So whatever type of divination that is, some folks, they go to tarot readers. Some folks, they get an oracle reading. In our tradition, there's a particular divination that we do, the priest does for you. It could be bone reading. It could be tea leaf reading. It could be, people read
rune stones. It could be.
People read cowrie shells. People read, there's so many different, dice divination, cartomancy, that's divination. Yeah, exactly. Cartomancy, divination be a playing card. Find a respected practitioner that can give you a reading, especially if you are unsure about things that are happening in your life, because that's going to give you guidance and put you in the right direction. And I think what all of this is coming back to, like you said, the blind leading the blind. If you reach out to someone who is a respected practitioner, who has wisdom, who is an elder, they can help guide you in the right direction. So you're not spending all this time spinning your wheels and wondering why you're not manifesting the things that you want, why your life is not going the way that you think it should go. Because in the beginning of this conversation, remember, we talked about going on different paths. Well, maybe you keep hitting roadblocks because you are not on the right path. So if you're confused about that, maybe speaking with a respected elder can help point you in the right direction, and they can let you know, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Maybe you should try this. Maybe there's a blockage that needs to be cleared. And a lot of times we block our own selves up. You wonder why things aren't going the way that you want. You're negative all the time. You're not consistent with anything in your life. You're being mean and nasty to everybody. You're not taking care of yourself. That's a big one. You're not taking care of your physical body.
Speak on that. Because when I'm talking to people saying, okay, I need you to sleep, drink some water, and come back in a couple of weeks, and then we can have a reading, they get upset with me. It's just like, well, I don't want to be in your energy when you are, you're coming with this type of energy to me. Like, I don't want to read you. Go, get fast or drink a lot of water for the next couple of weeks and make sure you rest, come back and let's see what your energy looks like. And then I'll decide to read you or not. Otherwise, go to someone else. But I want you to talk about how you feel the taking care of yourself inside and out impacts the spirituality at large.
If you are clogged up and you're clogged up, how can you manifest anything? If you're not sleeping at night, it's really as simple as that. You're not sleeping, you're not drinking your water, Your health is all out of whack. Your attitude stinks because you're tired and you haven't drank your water.
You can't
You're
poop.
eating a bunch of crap. You know,
Irritable.
right. If your vibration is low, how do you expect to manifest anything that's positive? How can you attract anything that's positive if you're operating from a space of negativity? If you're in a low vibrational space, because what you're going to continue to manifest is more of where you are. People say, oh, I want to manifest abundance. Okay, well, abundance of what? Because you can say, I want to manifest abundance and manifest an abundance of fuck shit. So, I mean, abundance just means a lot. You could say, I want to manifest a lot of money, and you end up with a bag of pennies. It's money. Pennies, there's a lot of them. They're small. But did we really take the time to be specific and craft our request? The other thing is, if you are not taking care of yourself, you're not thinking clearly. You may have brain fog. You may be confused. You may not be able to articulate what it is that you really want. You may not even know what it is that you really want because you haven't even sat down and took the time to think about it. Because you're all over the place and you're doing everything but what you're supposed to be doing. You're avoiding things that you need to deal with. You're not taking care of yourself. And then you wonder why I burned this candle and I didn't get my $5,000.
Well, what are you telling the universe if you're not even willing to take care of yourself? Why are you expecting this external support? If you're not, keeping promises to yourself and you can't trust yourself to do that, how are you going to be trusting the universe to bring you something? I feel like, remember, it's all connected, you guys. Everything is connected, as within, so without, as above, so below, like that whole shit. It's real, and it links together your personal development, your health and wellness, and your spiritual connection. It's all connected and relevant.
And keep in mind that,
No.
And keep in mind that everything is energy.
That part. Tell them.
Everything in life is energy, and everything requires an energy exchange. So I don't understand why, it's a real cute thing to do first of the year. We're going to make our vision board for first of the year, and I'm going to put my house and my car and my this and my that on there. A vision board is simply an arts and craft project. It's a tool.
I feel attacked.
It's a tool.
Attacked. I love making my little vision boards.
I like vision boards too, but it's a tool. It's one of many. It's one piece of the puzzle. It's not as simple as I'm going to put this big mansion on my vision board and I'm going to wave my wand and I'm going to wake up in this mansion tomorrow.
I'm going to go do nothing to change my state, my energy, my embodiment. I'm just going to go sit over here, watch Real Housewives, and wait for my house to show up.
Right. I mean, the thing is, okay, you want to buy a house. Okay, well, do you know what that process looks like? Have you checked your credit? Have you met with a real estate agent? Have you priced? Have you gotten pre-qualified to see how much house you can afford? There are other things that have to come in between, and simply putting a picture is, you can put the picture, but you have to break down, there's actionable steps in between. And their steps are going to be different for everybody, but there are different things that you're going to have to do to get from point A to point B. So it's not as simple as I'm just going to put the picture on the vision board. Yes, a vision board is a great tool. It is a form of visualization. And people talk about they made a vision board and they found it in the attic and all of the things on there manifested over the years. Well, because you thought about it and you released it, that's a whole other thing. But remembering that all of this is work. You hear people, we talked about the word root work. There's work in that word. People talk about spell work. There's work in that word. Energy work. Ritual work. The key thing is that there is work. And people think that, okay, well, how can I wave a magic wand and a check comes in the mail? That's not work. But it is. Because you set the intention that you were trying to manifest something.
Absolutely.
And you may have had a dollar amount in mind, but we also want to think about being specific. Okay, I don't want to ask for money and then I go in Walmart and slip in a puddle of soda on the floor and break my leg. And then the money comes in the form of a settlement. We need to be specific. We don't want it to come, we want it to come from a sweet place,
Well,
right?
hold on. I mean, how big is the settlement? I could take a broken leg for a settlement. Let's see how big it is, girl.
But that's something to think about. You know, or
Exactly.
people, they ask
So
for
we put
money
it
and then they
with
get scheduled for overtime.
that's
That ain't what I meant. I
with
didn't mean I wanted
yes, with
I wanted to
grace
work
and
2 hours
ease.
overtime every day. So that's why you have to think about and be specific about what it is that you're requesting.
Yes.
So something that I would do in that particular situation is I would ask for it to come from a sweet place or
I
with
say
no
with
harm to myself or my loved ones.
I say with grace and ease and harm to none.
There you go.
Because I've
With
seen
ease
so
and
many
grace.
people trying to say they want a new car and then they get into a car accident. I've seen it happen so many times
Exactly.
and total their car. I'm like, I'm not totaling shit. I want this SUV with grace and ease and harm to none.
Right. But did you think about that when you made that request? So I feel like that's why it's important to really think about what it is that you're doing. That's why you have to write it down, make your list. You can always go back and adjust it and change it, but make your list. Making the list may put you in a situation where, okay, you're looking at it and it's like, okay, check that off, check that off, check. Oh, well, maybe I don't want that. Let's take that one off. Or maybe I left something off, let me add it. But it gives you a place to start. And the thing is, you can always say, okay, I want this kind of job with these kinds of qualities or better.
Is there something better?
Never lock yourself in. Okay, I want to make $100,000
Plus.
or better. So a job comes and it's 120. Well, you told the universe you wanted 100. 120 is better than 100, right? So just also keep the door open for better opportunities. So I think that's part of why you have to be specific. You should be writing these things down. If you don't have a manifestation journal or you're not writing a petition, you need to write all of these things down and be specific about what it is that you're manifesting. This is where the putting in the work part comes from. People think that, oh, they waved a magic wand and they got this and that. You don't know what type of work and time and effort went into manifesting that thing. Are you sitting and meditating on your request every day? Are you saying your affirmations and your mantras?
Are you guys writing this down? Because she's giving you full game. Okay.
Spoken
Daily
word is
practices that help you embody what it is that you say you want, because you have to be in the energy of it. You have to be in the frequency of it. And if you're not doing the things that she's telling you to do, you won't be. So just please take this seriously, beginner or advanced. Okay. Wherever you are in your journey. Sorry, keep going.
It's okay. Affirmations and mantras, which they can be similar, but they're different. They put you in the right frame of mind. So if I'm saying a mantra 108 times a day, that's traditionally how they're done. Or a mantra can be a sound. You know, we go to yoga and we get the om. That's a mantra.
Sound, yes.
Same with affirmations. You know, you may post it up and you may look at it, or you may repeat it a certain number of times. You may be writing it over and over. But basically, the idea is that you're drilling that thought into your head.
Rewiring.
And you should be speaking it in the affirmative as if it has already happened. I affirm I'm healthy, because you're going to retrain your brain and it's going to play like a tape until you believe it, if you didn't believe it when you started.
So the belief is the thing. Wait, hold on. I don't want you slipping over that, because I drill into these folks all the time about the belief being, you know, we don't manifest from a desire. We manifest from our self-worth, our beliefs, what we actually feel we can receive. And the more work we do, the more capable or capacity we feel that we can get. So talk to us a little bit about the belief, because we're saying these affirmations, we start in a place of probably not believing. And then as we drill it in, we are rewiring our brain literally, and in a place where we are more believing that we can receive what it is that we are desiring and petitioning of the universe. So let's talk a little bit about that belief part of it.
You have to believe something in order to manifest it, in order to achieve it. So if I don't believe that I'm capable of getting the job, why would anybody want to give it to me? If I'm not even confident in myself, why would I even go on an interview and waste these people's time? And I think that's the part that people miss, because the whole point of, if you're saying the affirmation or the mantra, if you didn't believe that, you're going to keep saying it until you do. And when you believe it, you'll start to feel it in your body. You'll exude that energy when you go
Yes.
wherever it is that you're going. You're going to walk in the interview and you're going to be confident, and you're going to be smart, and you're going to enchant, and you're going to enamor, and they're going to be mesmerized by you, and they're going to hang on your every word because you walked in that place like you already had that job in the bag.
I'm just writing down enchant and enamor because I love those two words. I never say those words, and now I'm adding it to my repertoire, bitch. Okay.
But that's the type of energy that you have to have. You should love yourself. You should have self-worth. All of those things can come just by starting your day with a simple affirmation.
And I just want to gently let you know, if you're hearing this and you're in a space of, oh shit, I don't even know if I love myself. I don't know where my self-worth is. I just want you to know, sis, I'm wrapping my arms around you. You can get there. Okay. Self-worth is like a muscle that you can train like a bicep. Self-love is something that you can cultivate and grow like a flower. So just know that where you're at now is not necessarily where you're going to stay. Okay. So keep listening. Even if you're like, this is too advanced for me, please listen. You're going to get the nuggets today. And then in a month from now, re-listen to this episode. And then a month after that, re-listen. And you're going to get new nuggets from what Femi is telling you. All right, keep going.
It all begins and ends with you. It starts from within. How you feel about yourself is going to dictate how other people treat you. It's going to dictate the opportunities that you attract. It's going to dictate how you advance in the world. Because if you don't love yourself and appreciate yourself, and you're not confident, and you don't have self-worth, other people are going to look at you. Why would they want to even impart any of those things in you when you don't even feel that way about yourself? And I know it's easier said than done, as Danny just said, because it is a process. It is a muscle. You have to build it up. And some of us may come from a place where we've never loved ourselves. We were never taught how to do that. Or you go through life circumstances where you're beaten and battered down, where you fall out of love with yourself. And you have to work your way back up to there. But all of it can be just as simple as standing in the mirror in the morning and saying a simple affirmation.
Yes, mirror work it's a very quick way for you to work through that self-love. Sometimes it's hard to look at yourself in the eye and say, I love you, I appreciate you, I'm proud of you, but keep at it, and it'll get easier. And this is not coming from on high. This is coming from a girl who had to look in the mirror and say this to herself to start really feeling it, feeling that worth, feeling deserving of what I wanted. And at the beginning, I could not look myself in the eye and say, I love you, Danielle. I could not. So please know that, boy, times have changed. Now I look in the mirror, I'm like, yes, bitch, what? Okay. And you can get to that space. So, and from anywhere in between that, wherever you're at, please know it's a beautiful starting point. Wherever you are in your journey is the right place for right now, and it's not where you're going to stay.
It can definitely be a journey. It can definitely be a process. But, we're talking about how to manifest things in your life. The better place that you're in with yourself, we talked about being clogged up. We talked about,
whenever you say clogged up, I think about going to the bathroom. I'm sorry. I need a new term.
But that's legit what it is. A lot of times we're full of shit. We are. We are full of negativity. We are full of self-doubt. We are full of all of the things that people told us that weren't
jealousy.
True. We are full of all of those nasty things and you need to cleanse yourself of that. We talked about water magic. Let's do a spiritual bath. Let's do a ritual bath.
Let's do a water fast.
Let's do some energetic work. Let's do a detox and cleanse our body of all of those things that you're holding on to. Because you're not going to be able to manifest efficiently if you are not in alignment and you are not taking care of yourself. A lot of folks say that, they find that when they eat certain types of diet, like when they cut out meat or they're vegan, they find that they manifest things quicker because they have less toxins, less impurities and things in their body. I've not tried that. I'm not vegan. I'm not vegetarian. I don't know.
That has happened to me.
But that is something that I've heard from other people. The other thing is, if you're feeling good, you're eating well, you're able to hear clearly.
Yes.
So you can hear those messages. Your intuition is stronger.
Yes.
But
meditations are deeper as well. Child.
I'm a water person. So I know there's a particular park near my house that I like to go, and there's like a little waterfall thing. Every time I go there, I get channeled messages.
I know it.
If I go there with my cards and I'm sitting there reading my oracle or my tarot cards, the messages come through crystal clear because that water is a medium.
Yes, it is.
And if you're in the park with the trees and the grass and and I hear so much more clearly when I am by that water. But you're taking time away from the distractions. You're not hearing cars going by. You're not in your house with your kids yelling at you. You're not at work. You're away in nature, free from distraction. So you're now able to hear clearly. So people underestimate the power of just going to the park, just sitting outside, getting your feet in the grass, doing some grounding work. People underestimate how much of a difference those things make. If you're not thinking clearly, go for a walk and get some fresh air.
Be in those elements.
Sometimes that's when you get downloads. A lot of us get downloads when we're sleeping or in dreams. Usually when I get one coming, my ears ring.
Same.
So understanding that this is very much a lifestyle. We all want it to be as simple as I'm going to put this house on this vision board, but it's so much more than that. And if I know that I can use my personal power to radically change my life, why wouldn't I want to use all of my resources instead of just one? So we talked about, we get up in the morning and we do our affirmations, or we pray, or we sit and meditate. Something is simple. A ritual, people hear the word ritual, they think it has to be something big and elaborate. A ritual is just something that you do repeatedly. We get up every morning and we may take a shower. We may brush our teeth. We may comb our hair. All of those are rituals. So think about ways that you can incorporate manifesting your best life. Think about mixing the magical and the mundane.
There it is. There it is. I call it habit stacking, because you're going to brush your teeth. Why not say some affirmations while you're doing it? Why not look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself how beautiful you are, how strong you are, how proud you are of yourself while you're brushing those teeth or flossing? Come on, sis.
I like to do mine when I'm putting on my body butter.
And just rub that
because you're literally rubbing those words in, and people who don't realize that spoken word is air magic.
Yes, it is.
Affirmations, prayer, chanting, singing,
sound magic. Yep.
All of those things, that's air magic. Burning incense is air magic. We burn sage, we burn herbs, we burn incense. You can use those things to cleanse and clear. All that's air magic. Well, some of it's a combination of air and fire magic, but incorporating those elements in your practices. We talked about water. We talked about baths. We talked about, I know something I used to do, I would take a hand soap and put whatever I was trying to manifest, put certain herbs in the hand soap, shake it up, speak my intention over it. So now every time I'm washing my hands, I'm rubbing my hands together and I'm thinking about, hey, I'm going to manifest some money.
And then you put it under that running water that takes your desire along for the ride. That's beautiful.
So let's think about that. We got all four elements right there. You got water. You're speaking your intention. That's air. Yeah. The herbs are earth. So, well, the only one we don't have is fire. So we have three. But that's three. All in the simple act of washing your hands.
Are y'all listening to her? Are y'all getting this?
Think about washing your hair. You're massaging literally your scalp and your brain.
Washing your hair is a spiritual practice. I've been telling people this since back in the days of being a hair blogger. It's spiritual.
Even hair growing is a spiritual process.
Think about detangling. When we're, especially finger detangling, that love that you're imparting to say, hey, I know you're all kinky and twisted up. I'm going to smooth you out. I'm going to open you up. Shit, it's spiritual. I feel like we can make anything a ritual, anything spiritual, but we have to be intentional and present and mindful enough to look at the world from that lens. And in order to get mindful, you have to be able to sit down, shut the fuck up and listen, meditate, do breath work, whatever it is that you're required to get centered and aligned so that you can view the world in a more magical way, embody that magical energy, and do the practices that Femi is talking to you about. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. You go.
Okay. But I think that was the whole point of this conversation, and what I really wanted to discuss with you today was really the idea that this is a lifestyle.
Yes.
And if you want to manifest the life of your dreams, if you want to live your best life, you have to put the time, the effort, and the consistency in. You can't just half do it. You can't say your affirmations for one day and then tomorrow you forgot. It doesn't work like that. You can't burn one candle and walk away from it. Are you sitting with the candle? Are you infusing your energy into it? Are you chanting? Are you saying your affirmations? Are you saying your mantras? Are you speaking your request out loud so the universe can hear it?
Yes.
There is power in spoken word. Are you using water to cleanse yourself? Are you drinking your water? Something simple. We've all seen that little meme where there's the picture of the woman with the glass of water and she's speaking into the water. Water is programmable.
Yes, it is.
You can speak your intentions into the bottle of water and drink it. If you are making a cup of tea, speak your intention into that cup of tea. What kinds of things do we like in tea? We like cinnamon, we like honey. Well, honey's an attractant, right? Honey attracts things to you. Honey is programmable too. And it's programmable far longer than water.
Oh, I like this. I'm gonna go and write on my honey jar right now when we get off this call. I'm
Exactly.
gonna put
Honey
love
jars.
and peace all over that honey.
I got a couple of honey jars sitting up here working now. Honey is an attractant. We've all heard you can catch more, flies with honey than vinegar. Honey is an attractant. We talked about manifesting things from a sweet place. So a lot of us drink tea, a lot of us drink coffee. You can speak words of intention into your coffee every morning. When you come home at the end of the day, you can use water to cleanse your body and remove negative energy.
And I just feel really called to say this right now. For the mothers who are listening, I want you to start this with your children as soon as you feel comfortable, especially the more magical elements of this, because children don't have the same biases that we have come to hold on to over the years. So when you're giving your kids their bottle or their little sippy cup, have them start the practice that early, saying, what it is that good words, however your language is with your children. What good words do you want to say over this little Timmy, and have them start the practice so that it gets drilled into them early and it doesn't seem like something hard for them to remember to do when they're older. Let this just be their natural mode of operation. Someone needed to hear that.
That's a good idea. Because remember, when we're children, we're absorbing everything. And we don't have the ability to form our opinions of ourselves based on what other people tell us. So if you're starting them that early with, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're this, you're that,
powerful.
You can be anything you want to be.
Yes.
They remember that. And it's funny because my mom always tells this story. My grandfather at the time, he's dead and passed on. May he rest in peace. When I was a small child, I want to say maybe about 2 or 3, he would always tell me I was the smartest girl in the world. And I would go around, and my mom tells the story, and I hate when she tells the story. And she said, you would go around and you would put your hands on your hips. I'm the smartest girl in the world. I'm the smartest girl in the world.
Yes.
But and they always laughed, and they were like, do it again, do it again. And I don't even remember this. I only remember this because she would tell this story. When he died, he died maybe about 10 years ago. And he and my grandmother had been divorced, and she moved on and married somebody else. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, because that was the thing that I remembered about him. And for those who know me personally know that I was always a gifted child. I was always advanced in school. I skipped 2 grades when I was in elementary school. I graduated from high school when I was 16. I went to college. I graduated when I was 20. Exactly. I graduated from college when I was 20, but always know that I was always a gifted child. And I feel like, I was always smart, but knowing that in the back of my mind, from him telling me that when I was small, that stuck with me. So when he died, that hit me like a ton of bricks, because that was the one thing I remember. And I felt like that small piece of information, which I did not know at the time was an affirmation, carried me up until I was about through my whole life, up until he died when I was about 25. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I was driving down the road in my car crying, like couldn't get myself together, but that was what I remembered.
Yeah.
And he probably just thought it was funny and he was laughing and joking, but that was one of the things that was instilled in me when I was small. So I always believed that I was smart. Now, was I really the smartest girl in the world? No, we all know that as adults, that ain't true. But I believed that. And that was the attitude that I took when I went to school, because remember, I was only 2 or 3. But that was the attitude that I took with me when I went to school.
And thank God you did.
And when I studied for my tests, when I passed my classes, when I did well. And I honestly feel like that one small thing
sewed into you.
It carried with me my whole life. And it's just funny now because as an adult, I find that I only speak when I need to. And so folks are surprised when they hear me talking about these kinds of things. They're like, wait a minute. Like, where did that come from? And it's like, you didn't know that I was smart. I don't feel the need to flex that muscle because that's something that I have always been confident and secure in, that nobody else could ever take away from me. I knew that I was smart.
That's a word. That's a word right there. When we are confident in whatever the aspect is, we don't have to show it. When it's being thrown and shown, there's no full confidence in it.
Be careful with that. We have a lot of people on the internet on soapboxes. Be careful with that.
Behind the curtain, folks.
When you are confident and secure in who you are and what it is that you know, which obviously comes from study and practice and community.
Let's remember that, study and practice. Don't go for someone who just read a lot of books and hasn't done any work or had any experiences, guys, please. It's important.
With study and practice, you become the authority on whatever the subject is. So folks know, okay, well, I know Danny is an intuitive coach and she has made these people successful. She's made herself successful. So I'm going to go to her because she's going to show me what it is that I need to do. She's going to help me. We're going to do this together as partners because she is my coach. And she's going to help me get from point A to point B more quickly with her expertise and the things that she's practices, instead of me sitting over here spinning my wheels for forever. That's the whole point of a coach. That's the whole point of working with an elder. That's the whole point of visiting a practitioner, because they have the expertise and knowledge that's going to help you propel yourself to the next level. But you have to be open and willing to receive that information. And you have to be willing to put the time and effort and consistency. And you have to want to live and breathe this.
Do you do any coaching?
In a way, that is what I do at my day job.
Okay, you guys, listen. Femi has given you so much today. Biggest takeaways is make this a lifestyle. All of the many little tips and nuggets that she gave you, I want you to take this to heart and I want you to use them. Start today. Start with one little practice. Maybe you just go outside and ground. Maybe you just go take a walk and try to be with your thoughts. Whatever it is, don't think that the baby step is too tiny. The only mistake you can make is not moving forward after hearing this episode. I mean, for real. Femi is the host of the Divine Healing Podcast. She is a coach. She is a reader. If you like her vibe, reach out to her. If you don't like her vibe, reach out to me. But seriously, Femi, is there any last words you want to leave the audience with?
Last words, I would say ritual every damn day.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Okay, tell them where they can find you, your coaching packages, and your reading prices online.
All right, so you can find me on our website is thedivinehealingpodcast.com. You can also find me bumping around on Instagram at Femi the Divine. The podcast is available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all of those platforms. And like she said, if you're interested and you like my vibe, feel free to shoot me a message.
Yes. Okay, you guys, if you got some nuggets from since I know you got a lot of nuggets from this episode, I want you to tag Femi the Divine and the Danny Faust in some of your top takeaways, because I want to know. I want to know how this hits you in your heart, in your spirit, in your soul, in your mind. I don't care. Just tell us what you think and tag me and I will share you out. I love to hear from you guys. And if you are listening on Apple, please go over there, give it a 5-star rating. What? You only thought it was a 3-star episode? I don't care. Give a 5-star rating anyway, because I really appreciate them. Thank you. I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in a week. Bye.